Alright guys, so let's take a look at section 3.4, the library of functions. So the big thing with this is to remember how a function works, and that's we have the little function machine, an x goes in and a y comes out, and that corresponds to the point xy on the graph. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of ones they have here. So they give us f of x equals b. B could be any number. So let's assume that b is like 3. If f of x equals 3, that means for every x value that goes in, the number that comes out is always the same. It's always, let's say it's 3. So if it was 3, then that would mean that, okay, if let's say 0 went in, then a 3 would come out. That'd be the point 0.3. If 2 went in, then 3 came out, so it'd be the point 2.3. If negative 2 went in, 3 came out, that'd be the point -3. So that'd be point -2.3. And so what ends up happening is we have this horizontal line right here, right through 3 on the y-axis right here. That's called the constant function. All right. Okay. The identity function here would be whatever number goes in, the same number comes out. So we'll have the point 0.0. We'll have the point 2.2. We'll have the point 3.3. We'll have the point -2, -2 down here. So we end up with this diagonal line going right through the middle, right through the origin. F of x equals x squared. Every x value that goes in, what comes out is whatever that thing is squared. So we'll have the point 0.0 because 0 squared is 0. We'll have the point 1.1 because 1 squared is 1. We'll have the point 2.4 because 2 squared is 4. If we look this way, if we put in -1 squared is +1. -2 squared is a +4. So we end up with this shape right here, this U-shaped thing right here. The fancy name for it is a parabola, but we'll get into more of that later. So that's what a squared function looks like, is this U-shaped thing right here. X cubed, the number that goes in, the number that comes out is that number cubed. So if it was 0, it'd be 0 times 0 times 0, which is 0. If a 1 went in, it'd be 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. If a 2 goes in, it'd be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 way up here. And this one actually, if you put in -1, -1 times -1 times -1, work it out in your calculator, it becomes -1 down here. And then -2 would become -8 way down here somewhere. So we end up with this weird shape like this. And that's the shape of f of x equals x cubed. The square root function looks like this, and for every number that goes in, the square root comes out. So the square root of 0 is 0, so that goes, so we have the point 0.0. The square root of 1 is 1, so we have the point 1.1. And then we have to get a little creative. If we plug in the number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, the square, if a 4 goes in, then a 2 would come out, because the square root of 4 is 2. So right there. Now we can't go into the, we're not ever going to come down this way, because if I put in a -1, a square root of -1, we can't do that. So that doesn't work. So there's not going to be any part of the graph on this side of the y-axis. So it's going to look something like this. That's the square root function. The cube root function is the cube root of something is what's the number that you had to cube to get that number. So like 0. If 0 goes in, what number do you cube to get 0? Well, you get 0. So 0 is in there. For 1, well, what number do you have to cube to get 1? Well, we get 1. And now we have to get creative again. Let's go all the way to 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out here. So what number do you have to cube to get 8? Well, 2, because 2 cubed is 8. So the cube root of 8 is 2. And so then it ends up looking something like this. But then we can also go in the negative direction, because the cube root of -1 is -1. And the cube root of -8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is -2. So we get this side of it as well. So something like that. Cube root. Alright. Last one is the absolute value. Remember, every number that goes in, we take the positive of it. So a 0 goes in, we get 0 comes out. 1 goes in, 1 comes out. 2 goes in, 2 comes out. On the negative side, if a negative 1 goes in, the absolute value of negative 1 is a positive 1. The absolute value of negative 2 is a positive 2. So we get this V-shaped thing, like that, right? Now guys, we call this the library of functions because every single most every function after this that we do is going to be some variation of these. Alright, so take a look at 3.5 and you'll understand what I mean when we look at transformations of these functions. Okay, good luck.